in present-day Bridgerverse.
Charlotte, Queen of the United Kingdom.
Hello, my children.
In
the past 3 years, Bridgerton has rode the highest horse in period dramas in terms of fame, plot, and cast. The show has given us some of the hottest actors and actresses over the years, while serving a proportionately stylized version of London's high society during the 19th century Regency era. If you did not know, Bridgerton is based on Julia Quinn's super famous book series, which is most definitely fictional because no way in hell was the high society of England being ruled by an arrogant queen who gets to pick the Diamond Lady of the Court in every season. Even if Bridgerton used the concept of satire to propagate the class distinction, gender discrimination, and obnoxiousness of the rich society, there are a few handful characters who were inspired by real-life figures from history, so without wasting another moment, let's find out who these characters are. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Queen Charlotte. So, Sophia Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz was born on May 19, 1744 to a German duke and princess. At the age of 17, she was married off to King George III and became Queen Charlotte. They had 15 children together, among which 2 became kings. Their granddaughter, Queen Victoria, later even earned the title Grandmother of Europe. Many historical records suggest that Queen Charlotte was descended from a black branch of the Portuguese royal family, but all paintings of her may have been altered to downplay the features that were considered as unflattering according to the beauty standards of that era. Some historians even speculate that Queen Charlotte could have been England's first biracial queen, which is quite the juicy piece of information that allowed many writers to incorporate intriguing storytelling possibilities into their works. Apparently, Queen Charlotte's court was famed for following a certain protocol. She rigidly clung onto tradition and insisted on her female courtiers to wear increasingly outdated court dress while strictly adhering to the rules of her drawing rooms. This is something we have also seen in Bridgerton, where the emphasis on protocol weighs pretty heavily on the entire ton, and all these societal norms were established by the queen herself. In this world of scandal and intrigue, we see Charlotte's character have a significant influence when it comes to matchmaking among her subjects. While Bridgerton introduces its own narrative twists, it reflects the expected attendance at court and the immense significance of having access to royal circles in a society defined by social hierarchy. So these rules, where a woman is demanded to either get hitched right after her debut in the society or end up as 20-something spinster, are not solely reserved for Bridgerton and very much existed in the real-life version of events in the Regency era.
How's little George?
Well, he is not so little anymore.
King George III. If you watched Queen Charlotte, you're no stranger to Farmer George. King George III was really known as Farmer George for his keen interest in agriculture and farming. Although he ruled for 6 whole decades during the last 10 years of his reign, his son George IV took on the role of Prince Regent. While most Bridgerton fanatics may not be as acquainted with the fictional portrayal of George, given that he barely makes an appearance in seasons 1 and 2, you should know that Corey Milkery's depiction of young King George is possibly the most magnificent thing in Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. Anyways, the real George III began his reign in 1760 at a young age of 22 and was said to be a caring and yet controlling father and a devoted husband. One of his major political setbacks was the loss of the Revolutionary War, which resulted in the separation of the American colonies. According to the historic Royal Palace's website, the king and queen enjoyed a happy marriage for 25 years. However, in 1788, he began experiencing physical and mental health challenges from an unknown illness that afflicted him for the rest of his life. George's increasingly erratic behavior, as depicted in the series, where he accuses his wife of their daughter Amelia's death, would really stress out the queen. Charlotte, who was once said to be calm and affectionate, drastically changed as her husband fell ill. She struggled with depression and developed a fierce temper, frequently directing it towards her daughters. At any sign of George's health declining, she apparently retreated to a locked bedroom and avoided being alone with him at all costs. In fact, it is believed that his issues began began as early as 1765 and was assumed to be caused by a genetic blood disorder, porphyria, although it is now re-evaluated as bipolar disorder, which was potentially aggravated by dementia. King George III's illness strained his relationship with his wife, ultimately leading to his son George IV becoming Prince Regent in 1811. This further led to his growing isolation, and despite the Queen's fixation on the King's frailing health, she remained faithful to him until her passing in 1818.
Prince Frederick, this is the young lady I was telling you about. The season's diamond.
Prince Frederick of Prussia. In Bridgerton Season 1, the Queen's nephew, Prince Frederick of Prussia, is portrayed as the desirable royal who fails to win Daphne's affection. I mean, all the spinsters were vying for his attention, but his eyes were stuck on Daphne. Sadly, his royal title was no match to the passion shared by Daphne Bridgerton and the Duke of Hastings. Now, coming to the real Prince Frederick, who was born in 1794, he was an attractive man who caught the attention of Princess Charlotte of Wales, who was the only child of George IV, Prince of Wales, and son of King George III and Caroline of Brunswick. According to historian Anne Stott's biography of Charlotte, the lost queen, the princess met Prince Frederick in June of 1814 and began a secret correspondence with him. However, he was ultimately engaged to Princess Louise of Anhalt-Bernburg, and they wed in 1817. Bridgerton chucked the real-life history of this character right out the window and took many liberties with his story to fit the narrative while being consistent with the show's flexible approach to historical accuracy. So, that was it for this video. I know you guys expected some huge fancy list of names, but so far only these 3 Bridgerton characters were inspired by real-life historical figures. But that does not mean that the other core characters of the show are completely fictional, because believe it or not, the 19th century society was actually a lot like the ton we see in the show. And while they might not have Lady Whistledown to spew gossips in the real-life versions of events, the Regency era sure had ample amount of newspapers that published scandals, gossips, names, and most eligible bachelors of the season, and of course the names of the most beautiful spinsters making their social debuts. With that being said, I hear Francesca Bridgerton is set to make her society debut in the upcoming season. I think her character would really make heads turn. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment box below. As always, if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.